Oh boy, finally back to talking about Ninjago. Now we're on the revival era. So for like a whole year, Ninjago was essentially over. 2013 is such a dry spot in the series' history because, well, there was no new show. Other than the holdover sets for season 2, hardly anything Ninjago came out that year. All that time was being spent advertising the Legends of Chima, what LEGO was thinking would be their next big hit. So yeah, safe to say 2013 was a weak year for Ninjago. However, behind the scenes, LEGO was cooking up a big plan to return Ninjago. You see, a bunch of young kids loved this show, so much that LEGO would keep getting phone calls about bringing Ninjago back because they didn't want to see the show end. And LEGO was just like, fine, we'll make more. So they rushed Ninjago back into production, making sets and a new season for 2014. Finally, Ninjago was back for a third season and a new set wave. And I couldn't believe it. I never thought I'd see Ninjago get new content again after season 2, but oh my god, the show is actually back. And at the time, I loved both the sets and the season. Starting with the sets, I think Season 3 Set Wave has thankfully held up pretty well. I definitely wouldn't say it's my all-time favorite, but it's a pretty strong one, and I think the technology theme gave a lot of these sets a distinct vibe. Probably my favorite sets of the whole wave were the Thunderator and the Battle for Ninjago City set. Like, come on, look at these. These sets are just so awesome. Jay and Cole's vehicles are just super cool. I especially love the fact that they can connect together when driving. And, like, do I really need to explain why the Ninjago Battle City set is really good? Just look at it. It's awesome. You get the Overlord, you get this awesome temple, you get a good amount of minifigures. Literally no notes. This honestly might be the best set of the show so far. So from a wave standpoint, I think Ninjago Rebooted was a really great reintroduction to Ninjago. How about the season, though? The reception to this season was quite positive at the time. Not a lot of people were really complaining about it. However, if you were to go on the internet now and look it up, rebooted opinions seem really mixed. Some loving it, some hating it. Where do I stand? I think I stand a little firmly into the middle. Let's just get into the season's plot to explain what I mean as we go on. Set 1 year after the initial show's ending, the ninja are retired and are teachers. And with a field trip to New Ninjago City, a more advanced version of the pre-established Ninjago City from the earlier seasons, the ninja realize the Overlord is back, and it's up to them to use the power of the Technoblades to stop him. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way real fast. Why did they bring back the Overlord? I feel like this was a really awful decision in the long term, because now you've created this new retcon that no matter what, Ninjago needs some kind of evil, and this guy has to be here forever. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but it's so weird that the revival season opens with, hey, remember that big bad that Lloyd defeated in a pretty good moment? Never mind, it doesn't matter. And considering this whole season's theme is technology versus humanity and trying to find a balance between it, I find it odd that the Overlord is the main villain. Obviously, it's the more generic option, but why isn't it like some rogue AI? Like, why isn't Cryptor just the main villain of the season? Like, maybe have him be a machine that's tired of doing the bidding of all the people in Ninjago, feeling like everyone's become too over-dependent on him, and he feels like he deserves the control because everyone's, taking advantage or something. I don't know, I think that'd just work better for the theme they're going with. I don't know, I just don't feel like the story really needed the Overlord. I feel like he's hindering the story more than he's helping it. But that's really all I want to say about the Overlord in particular. Now I want to discuss how this season is paced. Well, this part gets really weird. Instead of 13 like the previous two, we now only have 8 episodes this season. Why is it so much shorter, you may be asking? For what I can tell, the first 2 episodes were supposed to be aired as one big special, similar to the pilots. Then 2 more episodes were added to the production, and then it was just decided that this would just be the full season. Being extended, in theory, should be a really good thing, but in reality, it leads to the season having a very stop-and-go pace. For example, they shut down the power in New Ninjago City. Should be a good thing, right? Well, too bad someone conveniently stole the Overlord mainframe. Okay, then they go into the Digiverse and take down the Overlord virus from the inside. That's good, right? Well, no, they were just slightly too late, and the Overlord's coming back, but he's not full power yet. Some weird space episode later, and the Overlord is now taking over New Ninjago City, and then he's defeated for good. But yeah, I found this stop and go pacing of the season incredibly annoying. It's made even worse when I look back at the initial airing schedule, where the show took 11 months just to air these 8 episodes because Cartoon Network stretched out 2 random ones every 2 to 3 months, and that was just a pain to wait for. It's like waiting 2 months, but no real progress is really being made. Okay, with the plot being a little messy, and with me not liking them bringing back the Overlord, how about the main cast of characters? Are they handled pretty well? Starting with Kai, who now hates technology. It's not really brought up all that much, but it is brought up a couple of times, and it's really the only thing Kai has in this season. And there is an okay episode about him getting over his prejudice towards it in Enter the Digiverse, even though he's never had this prejudice before and has been shown to play video games. But this show is going to be making up a lot of stuff moving forward, as we'll see. So I'm okay with them making it up here. The problem is, this is just kind of it. It's just kind of, he doesn't like technology, and then he becomes fine with it. Not really much more with Kai. Then we possibly have the worst part, which is the love triangle with Cole, Jay, and Nia. This just drags all 3 of these characters down, and every time they're on screen bickering with each other about who should be with who, I just hate it so much, and it's a lot of the season too. There's this dumb love thing that tells Nia her true love is Cole for some reason, even though they have never really interacted all that much up to this point. And we just keep getting this whole will they, won't they across the whole season, with Jay and Cole fighting as if they're 5 for Nia. And Nia's not much better. She kind of encourages it a couple of times. And yeah, I just hate everyone involved with this plot. It is the worst thing about the season. I mean, it makes Cole unlikable. Cole, the most likable character on average. How do you even do that? I think Lloyd actually might have it best out of the core ninja, as now he's with his father, Garmadon, no longer evil, fully reformed, as he tries to teach Lloyd not to overdepend on his golden powers and that sometimes he's just not going to be able to use them. I really just like this part a lot, seeing Garmadon and Lloyd genuinely bond and try to instill some good life lessons into him. I really liked everything with Lloyd and Garmadon. I also found it a really cool detail that Garmadon stopped being a fighter after he turned good and vowed peace. That was a really great shift for his character. Unfortunately, he didn't stick to it for long, but
you took my son, all bets were off.
It's a great moment for him, and honestly, I think Lloyd and Garmadon were probably the best handled main characters. Oh yeah, I probably should talk about Zane. With how this season was marketed back in the day, this was often considered the Zane season. But when you actually watch the season, it's not really a Zane season. He doesn't have an arc in this season at all. His biggest moment only comes at the very end. But there is no real overarching story. You look back at season 1, and that was about him embracing who he was across his episodes. But here, he gets a few cool action shots, he has some nice dialogue, and to be fair, he hasn't become awful. But, he doesn't really do anything in the narrative. He's arguably the least important character in this whole narrative, even though the season really calls for him to be the central focus. Imagine if it's centered around him being in this advanced world. Everyone is getting on board with it, maybe even his old colleagues, and Zane feels a bit left behind. He's not as advanced as all these other cool robots and gadgets we see around him. And you can make it a conflict of Zane trying to keep the humanity he sees in himself in a world that feels like it's going far beyond it. I feel like that would be a good conflict. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that they should have just done what I did. I'm not a professional writer or anything, and I'm not going to pretend I am. But also, I don't know, I just kind of want Zane to do something in this season that clearly calls for him to be the main character. But yeah, just kind of upset Zane got very sidelined in his own season. Honestly, as a whole, though, I think most of the character work in general was just a little lackluster compared to everything up to this point. Okay, I know I've been really negative on the season, but that's really because I've just had a lot to complain about when it comes to how I think the core characters and the general plot are handled. So let me go over a couple of things I do like, because I did say this season's okay, and there are things I really like about it. For example, the aesthetic of the season is really cool. I also really enjoy the new character Pixel, who started out as just Cyrus Borg's assistant and then started to form as a person of her own due to how Zane functions as both a man-machinish kind of creature. I really like that Zane can break through these other robots and make them more than just what they're programmed to be. That's a really nice moment. I like it a lot. Good use of Zane this season. I find it a fun twist that Sensei Wu is evil this time and Garmadon's good. I don't think it's used to its fullest, but I like the design they came up with, and it's at least unique. Also, they brought back Pythor, which was a good decision in the end because Pythor is still a fun and entertaining villain as ever. I have no problem with him coming back at all. Dareth was still really funny. I especially loved it when he was talking to that shark in one scene. And I think the main weapon the ninja use, the Technoblades, are pretty cool. It's fun to have a weapon that's more about hacking than fighting. And really, while rewatching the season, it's not like I was mad or anything at some of these changes. Like, I'd still say there were fun scenarios, the action was cool, and there was some charming dialogue. I just don't really think that this season pushed Ninjago to new heights for what was supposed to be its big comeback season. But yeah, I think season 3 is okay. I can see why others love it and some hate it. I'm just gonna stay in the middle with this one. And hey, the season was still a pretty good success. I think the sets sold really well, and viewership was still pretty good for season 3 overall. So, it at least accomplished its job bringing back Ninjago. So I will always give Rebooted that. Now, before we jump into Season 4, I do want to take a few detours to the rest of 2014. Like, for example, the 3DS game Ninjago Nindroids. It's not very good. It's one of those overhead LEGO games, something I've definitely never been a fan of. It's really giving me LEGO Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril vibes. Granted, this game isn't as bad as that one, but still not really all that good. All the levels are like 2 minutes, even though there's like a bunch of them. It also only really covers the first 5 episodes of Rebooted, not the whole season. Like, I know it wasn't all out yet, but that's just kind of weird to me. Also, they use cutscenes from the show, but they're definitely not done by the show's voice team. It's very obvious to tell, and it sounds really weird. Like, the game isn't bad or anything, it's fine, but I'm only really recommending this to you if you're like a super hardcore Ninjago fan and are just desperate for more Ninjago content. The Lego movie also came out in 2014. If you're wondering how this relates to Ninjago, well, Lloyd's in the movie. Like, Lloyd doesn't do anything major in the movie, but it's still nice to see him pop up every now and again. He's also in quite a few LEGO movie things as well. For example, he's a playable character in the LEGO movie video game, which was okay, but hey, it was nice to play as Lloyd. It actually predates Nindroids, meaning this was the first time Lloyd was playable in a video game. That's kind of weird to think about. He was actually also in a LEGO movie set, this one right here. Oh, hey, look, he's here with Batman. There was also a short called Enter the Ninjago that was on the LEGO movie's physical releases, where a movie producer tries making changes to the LEGO movie by adding Lloyd into them. This was mainly done so that they could promote the newly announced Ninjago movie, which we'll be talking about a little while later. But overall, that's kind of it for 2014. Not the biggest year for Ninjago, obviously, but still a pretty strong one for its first year on the comeback. Hey, I mean, one of its characters even got to be on the big screen, so that's a plus. But now, it's time to jump into 2015 with... the wait for seasons 3 and 4 to me as a kid never felt that long. Granted, for some it might have felt longer because season 3 episodes leaked, but I didn't really get to see those leaks. Season 4 would actually be the first season I started catching the leaks online. Definitely made me think at the time, okay, season 4 is gonna be quite different. And watching through the season, things really were different this season. And I mean that in the best way possible. Let's start with this season's sets, and they're pretty solid. It's definitely not my favorite wave, but there's some charm to a lot of these. I think, weirdly enough, I actually really like the smaller sets, which is very rare. I don't know, they got like a fun jungly vibe. It's not that these bigger sets are bad, they're just personally not all-time favorites. A lot of them still have good build quality. My favorite set, though, without a doubt, would have to be the Dojo Showdown. I don't know, it's just a really fun one. Admittedly, it's not a good display. I mean, just try putting this on your shelf. It's not gonna look as cool. But the play features were a lot of fun. And plus, we got Karloff and Griffin Turner. This was an era where it was really rare to get side characters in sets, so it was kind of nice to actually get them. It's certainly not the best set of the series, but I like this one a lot. So yeah, the wave itself is pretty good. But I know that you didn't want to hear me talk about the set wave. You will really want to hear me talk about the season. So I'm gonna do that right now. The ninja team is disbanded after the passing of Zane, and Lloyd tries to reunite them. Then some guys come into Master Chen's noodle house, and it's revealed that Zane is still alive. And our main ninja, accompanied by Lord Garmadon, are going to this island to compete in an underground fight club for Master Chen himself, to uncover what happened to Zane. Also, what Master Chen is planning with all these elemental masters here, because something dangerous is going on. You know, with Season 3, as enjoyable as it could be, I felt like it just wasn't pushing Ninjago to new heights, depending too much on what was happening before. Here, it feels like it's actually trying to build off its world and expand on a lot of things. For example, introducing the Elemental Masters, us finally getting to see what Pythor's tribe looks like, giving us some backstory into Garmadon's past and who he worked for during his evil times. Looking back, it's super impressive how much the world of Ninjago has really expanded in Season 4, and you can really see them trying new things and pushing the heights of what can be done. Not to mention, I would say the tone has gotten a bit darker. I'm not going to say the show is written for adults or anything now, it's still obviously a kid's show, but you can notice the characters doing things or saying things that weren't really going to happen in like Seasons 1 or 2, and it's pretty welcome. It feels like a nice evolution on what we've seen prior. Another thing that feels like it's evolved quite a bit is the animation. Visually, the season is a lot cleaner than what we've seen before, but when it comes to the actual movement, especially in fight scenes, it's gotten a lot smoother. Like, the action prior to this was fun, but nothing really all that grand, but here, it's some of the best parts of the season. The fights are all especially unique, given all the terrains that Master Chen puts the Elemental Masters through, and how their powers work alongside these arenas. It's all really fun, and it really makes the season super enticing. But to me, the biggest improvement from Seasons 3 to 4 here is the character work, because for the most part, most of them actually have strong stories this time. Like Cole and Jay, for example. While I hated the love triangle last season, I will say this, it did lead to a really good story about them reuniting as friends. I especially like the moment where Jay realizes that he was upset about losing Nia, but it was a bigger loss losing his best friend Cole. And the ending bit with Cole letting Jay have the Jade Blade in his own sacrifice was a good way for Cole to close off that rivalry with Jay. Also, like Season 3, we do get Garmadon and Lloyd bonding moments. Garmadon especially gets a lot of focus this season, with him trying to give them good advice about sticking together and also not to try to break their bond. Not to mention all the lore dumping he does about the Serpentine War and how he tricked Misako into being with him. His interactions with Lloyd were especially stellar, as the nice father-son dynamic from last season returns here too. Especially with Lloyd helping him admit his wrongdoing to Sensei Wu about the whole Misako thing. I really liked that. It really does a good job showing how far Lloyd has grown. Zane's another improvement from last year, because Zane actually has a story this time. With him trying to break out of Master Chen's prison, he does inevitably with Cole, and it leads to a really good story about Zane rediscovering who he is, learning that humanity was still inside him even with his new body. Wow. They actually told a story with Zane. Take that, Rebooted. Also, Zane just looks like this from now on. I really like this design, and I'm glad they didn't change it back to like his old human design. It really does a good job showing that there's actual progress between these seasons, and these characters are allowed to change. He also just sticks out now more on the team. Oh, and Kai is here too. He's mainly here to crush on Skylar, a new character who has the power of Amber, and can absorb any elemental power. But really, Kai doesn't do a whole lot. He's mostly just here for support, and to be fair, he's got a lot of good support moments in assisting the team. You know what? It's okay. They've already done so much with him up to this point and giving him a story. If they really just didn't have much for Kai to do, I'm glad they didn't try to force a story with him, you know? The Elemental Masters are also really fun characters. They don't have the most amount of depth, but I do understand there's only 10 episodes, and some of them just aren't even featured in all of them, especially if they lost a tournament. But still, it was nice to see a lot of new faces that also had elemental powers as well. Some of the highlights for me definitely included Griffin Turner, Jacob the Master of Sound, Karloff, and probably my favorite, Nero, the Master of Mind. Also the Master of Comedy because he can be quite funny.
Now decided to help. I'd rather be on the winning team.
We also have a fair amount of villains this season, like Master Chen, for example, the main antagonist and the driving force behind this tournament, and he is brilliant. He's a really funny and over-the-top character with these wild games, and I love him so much. It's very rare for the main villain of a Ninjago season to be a little more silly and over-the-top, so I'm glad that Master Chen adds a new change of pace, especially after getting the Overlord again last season. He's a really fun character and I liked him a ton. I also really enjoyed his right-hand man Klaus, a dark sorcerer apprentice that Master Chen took in. He's definitely the kind of character that feels like he would have been the main villain in any other season, but here it's fun to have a more serious character play the side role for once. It's always fun to see Chen and Klaus butt heads, with Klaus wanting to play everything straight and make it easy for them, with Chen also wanting to play the games really straight and have these over-the-top gimmicks. And it's refreshing to have the main villain be the sillier one and the side villain be the serious one. But speaking of side villains, there's two characters I have to talk about, and that is the best characters in the whole season, Kapow and Chop. Literally out of nowhere, the season just randomly starts focusing on these two no-name guards, with that being the whole point is that they're tired of being the no-name guards, and want to be the cool named guards that get all the benefits of Chen's other lackeys like Izor here. They inevitably end up in Chen's higher ranking, only to learn it sucks.
Maybe Master Chen knowing our names isn't such a good thing.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Like, it's nothing deep or anything, it's just really funny that the season randomly just decides to focus on these side characters and give them their own personal story that they end up hating. It's brilliant. There's also some major characters like Wu, Nia, and Dareth who don't do a whole lot, but thankfully aren't poorly characterized across the season, so just know that I think they were handled well enough this time around. But yeah, looking back, I think Season 4 does such a good job keeping you invested in our core cast of characters, showing off a new set of the world, and just consistently keeping you engaged with fun, out-there tournament events for the first half of the season. Yeah, that whole tournament arc doesn't last across the whole season, instead being mainly contained to the first 4, maybe 5-ish episodes if you're generous. The season in the second half more focuses on Master Chen's big plan to turn his army into Anachondri warriors, Pythor's tribe that we didn't get to see at the time, and take over Ninjago. And to make it clear, I don't dislike this plot. I actually really enjoy the second half of the season quite a bit. But I've always felt like the road to getting here was always a bit shaky, mainly in those middle 2 episodes, episodes 4 and 5. This just should have been one episode. The first half is about the ninja trying to expose Chen, and then them being told that there's a spy, and then the next episode's about them trying to hunt down Nia. Chen just gives up on the whole game anyways, and, what was even the point of him, lying, that they were gonna do the whole staff reward thing? Keep the contest seemingly going, and then just end the contest here and out. This middle half doesn't feel that thought out to me. If that really was just one episode, like I said, we could have gotten more time to explain Chen's plan, or we could have had another tournament fight. Admittedly, I kind of wanted another one, but I'm also open to the latter. I don't know, I always felt like this in-between felt like a weird shift. Granted, this is the first season to have 10 episodes, so it could just be a byproduct of that, but still, never been a big fan of how it flowed. Also, while it was cool to get an introduction to Pythor's tribe, I gotta say, I find it kinda lame that they're just the God Serpentine tribe. Compare them to the rest of them. You got the Hypnotism, the Vampire, the Acid Spitters, and then one of these guys, they can turn invisible, have nearly indestructible skin, fast reflexes, the best warriors in Ninjago. I don't know, I don't feel like they needed to make them this good. I understand the idea of giving the ninja new, bigger bads to fight, but I feel like just doing this is kind of tiring, as each villain feels like it has to top the last now. I want to make it clear, it doesn't ruin the season or anything, but I don't know, I don't feel like they needed to go this hard on them. On the bright side, the focus on the Anacondrae at least gave Pythor a chance to return, admittedly at like the tail end of the season, but still, always good to see him. Plus, so many good story beats and themes come out of this latter half, like Chen dividing the Elemental Masters so that he can take over Ninjago more easily without them around. Chen even spilled Garmadon's secret to Wu and Misako. He's so evil, I love it. And the big battle at the end was really satisfying, with the ninja gathering allies from across Ninjago City, Cryptarium Prison, everywhere to hold a stand against Chen's army, and for a while they're able to push back. But unfortunately there's too many of them. But then Pythor comes in with this big reveal that if Garmadon curses himself, he can have the Anacondrae generals come in. And this is an amazing moment of Garmadon without a second thought banishing himself to the cursed realm. Lloyd initially doesn't take it so well, and we get this really amazing scene of him just going maul on the Anacondrae cultists, but he does eventually decide to help banish Garmadon, and there's a really sweet moment between the two, and the day is saved again, all thanks to Lord Garmadon. Who would have guessed? But yeah, this was a great way to close out the season, and Lord Garmadon's story. Well, for now at least, we'll get back to that in the future. And just overall, Season 4 was just a great season in its own right that pushed Ninjago to new heights. Easily my favorite season of the whole show so far, and definitely one of the strongest the whole show ever made. Also, that ending tease, perfect way to get you excited for the next season. But first, we got some supplemental material to look at, like the Chen's Chair Day shorts. These are just goofy shorts with Chen and Klaus that feature Chen's chair. They're pretty funny, but not much more to say. But we also got something big, another video game, Ninjago Shadow of Ronins for 3DS and PS Vita, and this game is a big improvement over Ninjoids. The first thing I found really cool about the game initially is that it told its own story, instead of just adapting something from the TV show, with newly introduced character Ronin coming in to steal the ninja's memories, and the ninja have to find these obsidian weapons which will help them remember their past. For starters, this game is not an overhead game. Thank God. It honestly helps it feel more like one of the console games. It just feels really good to play all around, with you going through bite-sized levels across the whole series. I had a lot of fun with Shadow of Ronin, although I do find it weird that they decided to introduce Ronin in some random game and not, like, an episode. Like, the game's not canon, but the show is gonna treat it like that, as we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, to me, that was just really weird. But on the whole, Shadow of Ronin's a really fun game. I recommend going out to play it if you have like a 3DS or a PS Vita. There was also another game with Ninjago stuff in it this year, Lego Dimensions. Now, I don't have the game because I'm not a millionaire, but it was really cool to see Ninjago stuff in this game. It actually has the second most amount of characters of any franchise, only being outbeaten by DC Comics. But yeah, it was great to see Ninjago treated like a big franchise being in their Toys to Life game. Okay, it's possession time. So during the summer of 2015, we got Season 5. And oh boy, this was another season I was really excited for, mainly due to the tease from the previous one. But first, let's go over the sets. So I don't know if this is a controversial take, but at least so far, I think Season 5 has the best set wave in the whole series. The ninjas' vehicles are really cool in this season, like Jay's Walker 1, or Zane's mech, or Cole's dirt bike. Wu also got a dragon to himself for the first time in the whole series. Also, the Moro dragon? Come on, this thing is awesome. And hey, we even got a new Destiny's Bounty, which looks awesome. But my favorite set of the wave, which I think is everyone's favorite honestly, is the Temple of Airjitsu set. I mean, come on, just look at this thing. What's there not to love? The build is great, you get all the ninja, you get some cool characters, and Misako. And also, this marked the debut of the Mailman in a LEGO set. Come on. No beating this set. This is easily the best one of the wave, and honestly probably the best set to come out of Ninjago up to this point in the show. Now let's see if the season matches the set's quality. Moro, the ghost from last season's tease, escaped the cursed realm and possesses Lloyd. And he's in pursuit of the Realm Crystal, which is hidden in the first Spinjitzu Master's tomb, and the original 4 team up to stop Moro and save Lloyd. They're also doing it powerless, because Lloyd controls their powers, as seen in Season 3. And Nia starts to retire from Samurai X as she becomes the Water Ninja. Okay, I'm gonna open this up by saying Moro has the coolest first appearance of any villain in this franchise, before or after this season. It's such a perfect introduction to what he's all about, and it makes him very intimidating as he solos the Core 4 Ninja. I love how this season starts. It's also quite neat to see them go back to the original dynamic with our main 4 protagonists, but with the progress they've had across these many seasons. It's just good to see this group interact. They've got a lot of fun banter, there's a lot of really funny jokes to go with them. It really does give a pilot feel, however modernized to fit with where the show is right now. However, this season isn't just throwbacks. A lot of new things are going to happen to our characters, and we're going to see a lot of new aspects of the world. For example, Nia has water powers now, and becomes a part of the ninja team. I do find it kind of odd that they do this now, in Season 5. Also, we've had her established as Samurai X for a long time, her building up her own identity. And I will say I do kind of miss the fact she is Samurai X, that identity she built all by herself. I do think they at least use the Water Ninja stuff well, and they give her a really good arc, with her needing to go with the flow more. And also, Nia does just become more involved with episodes from here on out, so I only see that as a positive. Plus, I like her ninja outfit a lot. The maroon really stands out. The other ninja are mostly well characterized as well, but unfortunately they don't have as big of developments. Mainly Zane and Jay, who are mostly just here for support and comedic relief. Thankfully, I think they at least do that pretty well. So Cole died? Okay, he didn't actually die, but come on, they turned him into a ghost. And they really kept this thing hidden. It's not in any of the sets. Too bad I got spoiled on it anyways, because there was one video that came out showing new images from Season 5, and this was the thumbnail. I am so mad about it, even to this day. What's also interesting is they actually mentioned Cole looking like a ghost when he had flour on him last season. That was some nice foreshadowing, actually. Within his new ghost form, the season gave him a story all about accepting that he's still a ninja no matter what form he's in. And I think it was done pretty well, showing the struggles of his new body and him coming to terms with it. I like what they did with Cole here. It does feel random to make Cole a ghost, but I do get it. This was a part of an initiative to try to make all the ninjas stand out more. And to give him credit, he does, but it does just feel kind of random. Kai, though, is definitely the most focused on of our central ninja this year. He definitely takes on a more older brother figure to Lloyd, even though this wasn't really set up before this, but I do at least like the dynamic a lot, and he does go more out of his way than any of the other ninja to push for Lloyd's safety this year. Plus, it was a really nice evolution for him from the guy who was obsessed with being the Green Ninja to the guy who's now more willing to put his life on the line for the Green Ninja. I also like how Moro parallels who Kai used to be, someone obsessed with the idea of being the Green Ninja in that stature. Moro really gives Kai a glimpse of who he could have become if he didn't stop obsessing over it. Transitioning into Moro, I think he's a really good antagonist, with him being a previous student of Sensei Wu, someone he thought could have become the Green Ninja, and spent his whole life, or I guess post-life, being obsessed with that title, as he goes to far lengths to obtain the title, even if it meant cursing Ninjago. He's definitely one of my favorite antagonists in the series for how intimidating and genuinely dangerous he feels, and the fact he possesses the greatest ninja in the whole land for most of the season makes him even more dangerous feeling. Oh, and speaking of that, unfortunately Lloyd doesn't do that much this season. Like, I know he's possessed for the majority of it, but I still feel like they could have done something with him. Something that could have showed why he's the Green Ninja and not Moro. The YouTuber Just Stop actually mentioned a good way to handle this in his video, where we could have gotten glimpses inside of Lloyd's head with him fighting against Moro, and maybe he could have shown off why he's deserving of the title, all the actions he's done, the people he's inspired, compared to Moro who wants it more artificially. It's definitely something I think could have made the whole Moro and Lloyd dynamic much better, and I can't lie, it does kinda suck that it feels like Lloyd is right back to being a plot device, something that he was finally getting out of last season. But I can't lie, because of how good a lot of this season is, and with how much character work it does for someone like Nia, who did need the focus more, I'm okay with this. Like, I get it. Giving, 6 characters at once focus is a really hard thing to do. So if they'd rather pick and choose, then that's fine by me. But I feel there's one more character worth talking about, and that's Ronan. Even though I hate how he's thrown into the show, I can't lie, I really like the guy. He's got a lot of really good lines, and I love the fact that he's the first morally gray character in this series, doing whatever he wants to benefit himself more than anyone else. I love the story they gave him about him needing to keep the people he likes close to him, and he's got a really great dynamic with Nia as he helps Nia learn her water powers more. Although there is that one scene, I'll just ignore that. But for the most part, I really like Ronan. We also got our ghosts from the Cursed Realm, and they are really cool. The designs are really cool. I like the fact that we got more generals again, like Gultar, Wraith here, the Soul Archer, Banshee. Admittedly, they're not like deep characters, but it's nice to have some more fun named general antagonists. I like the fact that all the basic ghosts look like basic villagers, but, dead. It really makes them feel like they could have been residents from Ninjago long ago. I find it quite unique they also went with the water weakness, and I like the explanation that because water has a unique flow to it, that's what stops them. I would have never thought of that myself. And with the adventure across the season, I gotta say, it's just really fun. I love seeing the ninja go to more wild locations, whether that be the City of Styx, or the Cloud Kingdom, or the first Spinjitzu Master's Tomb. It really makes the ninja feel like they're going places across the land of Ninjago, as we get to see so much of it this year, and with a lot of lore expansion too with the Cloud Kingdom. Though, admittedly, in this case, it's not really for the better, as it is established that Ninjago is all pre-written up to this point. So that means every decision that has happened before this doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of this. Honestly, it doesn't seem like anyone was really a fan of this decision, because in Dragon's Rising, spoiler alert, they completely retcon this. And I would say that's for the better. However, something good that did come out of the Cloud Kingdom was the introduction of the Realm Crystal, which introduced us to the idea of multiple realms across Ninjago. Technically, some of these have already existed before, but this is like where it's firmly established, and it becomes a big part of the lore going forward. But beyond that thing in the Cloud Kingdom, for the most part, all the locations the characters go to are full of really fun gimmicks, like Yang's Haunted Temple in episode 4, which is a really good team building episode with them trying to learn to work together as opposed to competing for being leader. I'm also a fan of the first Spinjitzu Master's Tomb, the penultimate event before the Cursed World 2-parter at the end of the season. The challenges presented in the first Spinjitzu Master's Tomb are great, and they do a really good job challenging our ninja, like using Spinjitzu to find the right door, or deciding to give up on this task here because, well, ninja never quit. You gotta quit sometimes, I suppose. And while this episode is not the conclusion of the whole season, I think it does a good job wrapping up the original Four's adventure without Lloyd, and proving what they can do without him. I really enjoy this one. But now we have the ending, the big two-parter, Cursed Worlds Part 1 and 2, with Moro finally bringing his master into Ninjago, the Preeminent. It's kind of a shame LEGO never made this. Granted, I get it would be really big, but come on, I want to see what it would look like. But in general, I think this two-parter was a pretty good way to close out the season, if not feeling very rushed in some areas. I do find it refreshing that Ninjago City isn't the city being attacked here, instead it's Styx. It's really refreshing to see after 4 seasons in a row of Ninjago City being attacked. And while the Preeminent isn't something that moves very fast, it feels very intimidating, with those tentacles grabbing a bunch of innocent people. It also being able to summon ghosts at whim, and especially that big part where they give it like its own arms and legs. I would say it's a good threat for the ninja to face this season. It also even swallowed Lloyd at the beginning of the second part. We even get this amazing scene with Garmadon and Lloyd inside the Preeminent, with Garmadon telling Lloyd no matter what, he truly is the Green Ninja, even giving him the status of Sensei, something they don't really utilize until like way later in the show, but hey, it got its start here. Although, if I had to complain about anything, Nia's arc just doesn't feel like it has a natural ending. It feels like the story just needed her to do this so that she could stop the Preeminent. It's not like it's not set up, her needing to lay back and find her flow. It is established across the season, but here, the ending just kind of happens. She doesn't really do anything in this finale to really justify it happening. It just happens. Also, Cole, you're standing a little close. Don't you think you want to back up a little bit? I'm surprised he didn't get wet. And I will also say Moro's redemption at the end, feels like really forced. There was no build up to this at all, or him feeling remorseful for what he did. It just kind of happened.
You can only save those who want to be saved.
It's a nice moment, but it only really works in a vacuum. In spite of the less than stellar bits this season have, I think its best aspects outdo its weaker ones. With great character writing, a fun adventure, and some strong world building, I think this season is still one of the best Ninjago has to offer. I think I enjoy Season 4 more consistently, but I think the highs of Season 5 definitely rival it greatly. Man, looking back, 2015 was such a good year for Ninjago, wasn't it? We had 2 great seasons and a really good video game. We even got a cameo from Chima. That's how you know that was a great year. Also, this has been something I've wanted to talk about for years. Does anybody else feel like this season could have served as a finale? Like, I don't think it was ever intended to be one, but there's so many aspects of it that feel kinda conclusive. Like them going back to the original show's dynamic of focusing it on the main 4, Lloyd being set up as a sensei, and visiting the first Spinjitzu Master's tomb. I don't know, a lot of aspects just feel conclusive to me. Obviously not everything, like Nia becoming a ninja and Cole becoming a ghost, don't feel like series finale things to happen, but there's just something about this one that always felt conclusive to me back when it first aired in 2015 and even now. But that's enough of that tangent. Even though I think this era started off a bit rocky, it really picked up fast, and we are in a pretty strong state with Ninjago. Now, initially, this was going to cover everything from Season 3 up to Season 7, but A, I wanted to make sure a new video would come out sooner for the Ninjago retrospective, and B, Skybound is giving me a lot to talk about. Get prepared for that. Also, that whole ending rant I felt like was an easy thing to end on for Season 5, because I do feel that a bit. But yeah, generally, I really enjoy this first half of the revival run. We'll talk about the second half of it next time. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and tell me in the comments below, what did you think of these 3 seasons? Are they really good? Are they really poor? Do you think they put Ninjago in a good spot? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.